I will be going from nothing to a completely configured installer. I'm going to be including the steps to install it. Even if you have the Calamares package in your repositories or you don't, install Calamares from your package manager. Here I have so Calamares is also in the Archiso repository, so if you use Arch Linux you can install from the AUR, or if you use chaotic AUR you will get a binary version from the development version. So I'll install the Calamares Git package. Calamares configuration is pulled from /etc/calamares or /user/share/calamares. We'll be using etc this time, so let me go to etc. You can see Calamares is there. Now let me zoom in a bit. So depending on what distribution your distribution is based on, or if you're making an entirely new distribution, your profile or like the way you build a distribution is different. But for Arch-based distributions, which is what we use Archiso for and what WooFOS is based on, that's the example I'll be using here. We use archlive/airrootfs to store all of the default files. So inside airrootfs we have etc, and in etc we have Calamares. So that's where we're going to store all the configuration files to make Calamares look and behave the way we want. So here I have a settings.conf file. Now usually Calamares comes with a settings.conf file, which you can get from their GitHub. So let me go. Here you can see that they will have settings.conf in their root of the GitHub repository. We're going to copy this. I already have a pre-configured settings conf in WooFOS repositories, but I'm going to copy the default one and we're going to paste it here. So let me do sudo vim. I'm going to paste wsettings.conf. Boom. And now we have settings.conf. So now if I run Calamares, you can see that it runs, but you don't have certain you don't have modules. Here we have intram-fs, but you can see that Calamares is basically ready to be used. We have the side panel with all the installations and stuff. So you're going to now customize the settings. Vim settings.conf. Now I'm going to go through every line. Apparently we have comments. First we have modules, I think. Alright, so these are the sequence of modules that will be executed and shown. And we have the executed, all the executed modules. So now we had an issue with intram-fs. Sorry, initram-fs. If you're running a Debian-based distro, that'll make sense for you to have. Mine is an Arch-based distribution, so I will not be including initram-fs. You can also disable other things that you don't want to execute. Okay, and here comes the branding. So you can actually like have multiple brandings in one folder, and then you can like switch between those. So for the sake of this video, let's download the Manjaro branding. Go cdsrc. Okay, we're going to copy the branding. /branding. We have Manjaro, Manjaro KDE, Manjaro XFC. I'm going to copy the default one and a dot so that it copies inside Calamares. Oh fuck! I think I messed up. Anyways, so we can change the branding here to Manjaro. We need to put the Manjaro folder inside branding. And now let's look at the branding file for a second, and then we'll go back to the settings file here. So let me change this to WooFOS. And if I change this to WooFOS, I'll also rename the folder, because why the fuck not. I'll do Manjaro to WooFOS. Boom. Sudo vim settings.conf gonna change the branding to FOS. Okay, and next we have the slideshow, which is actually QML. I have not messed with the slideshow because I just like how it looks with default. It's fine. You can research on the slideshow. This is not an important thing that you have to go through. So the branding.description, which is like the most important part here, and you can add pictures you want and other stuff to the slideshow. We have the product logo and stuff. Anyways, so now if I run Calamares, it should come with the squid looking thing that says welcome to FOS Rainforest Installer. It doesn't seem to be working good with my theme, so no, I'll use the default branding for this video, because you'll have to also make the branding colors fit the Qt5 theme that you're using. Yeah, so I'm going to go to settings.conf and to go to FOS. I'm going to change it to default. Change the branding to default. Now if I run Calamares, boom, it comes with fancy GNU Linux Turgitudo, whatever that is. I don't know, it's open Calamares here. Installer. Now it will not allow me to install because this computer does not satisfy the minimum requirements for installing fancy geo, because there are no partitions to install on it actually. If I run this as root, I can maybe access my flash drive, which I just plugged in. So let's see how the installation goes. So, let's do Asia. Just do Colombo next. Oh, and we have the keys. We have the partition, and that's my thing. I'm not gonna continue, and we can continue the installation as you would. Now this is the default installer, and the default installer actually works out of the box, right? Now there are things that you can change here. So we have something called don't chroot, executed function with this. Settings should only be used when So now sometimes you may want to use Calamares as a post install config tool, where you want to install things that you want to install like after you install an operating system. Now these are like basic things. You can read the comments from the default settings.conf, which I will link in the description, and configure this yourself. Now let's look at modules. So we have like 3 configurations here. We can configure all of the modules separately. So we have the keyrings that we want to add. I have the chaotic keyring added too, so Arch Linux and chaotic. This is for the chroot configuration. So once you chroot, you have to modify the pacman config. So we want to install keyrings, and I think packstrap is run outside chroot. If you have gone through the default Arch installation, you know what I'm talking about. This is for Arch Linux. You can configure this to be for Debian. I don't know how. You can maybe do some research and you'll find out. And partition.conf, let's see how that goes. Alright, so this is commented and documented as well, so we can also configure this. Now the EFI system partition, which you can choose. Let's say you want to change this to something like boot/woof. For me it'll be boot/woof. Nope, I don't want to do that, but yeah, you can also do that. We can also configure the swap size and stuff. You can allow the user to have swap choices, right? And you can also have them. You can also allow them to use a swap file. You can let them reuse it. So we can just enable all of this at this point. Hold up, why am I not in sudo? Sudo swap. There we go. I'll remove that and remove that as well. And that will allow the user to choose between different swap choices, either no swap, small swap for like 4 gigs, suspend, I don't know what that is, but I can reuse an existing. It's apparently unsupported, so we'll comment that out. And the file, so swapping to a file. And so we have the other things that you might want to configure. This is well documented, so the comments here are actually really useful. You don't have to depend on my stupid voice to explain this to you. You know, now all of these files can be found in the Calamares repository, which is also linked down in the description. I'll also link the OS Calamares configuration for any of those who are interested in looking at what my OS uses, or my respin. We have the default file system types. I'm going to set this to ext4 because I don't know, I use ext4. If you want, you can change it to btrfs as it was, or ext2, ext3, ext4, razer, xfs, jfs. I would not recommend using ntfs because just because you can install on ntfs doesn't mean you should. You might need some drivers to manage ntfs partitions on Linux, so don't just install on ntfs, just don't. And here we have the partitioning layout. This is the default one. You can change this, just uncomment. You can uncomment all of this, right? Uncomment all of this and change how you want certain partitions to be. So they also give you a home partition apparently. Now this one makes me want to install OS on my flash drive. And you can you also have mount.conf. You have a lot of .confs in slash modules. These are to configure each module. Now the modules, for those who don't remember, are the same things that we were disabling here in the sequence. So these are all modules, like the names you see after dashes here. They're all modules that you can customize in the modules directory. Now here, if I go to OS, we have configured all of the modules for no reason. There's no specific reason why I did this, but there you have it. So net install, apparently we need to configure that. I don't know what I did. Oh, so you can actually configure Calamares to enable, like, you know, have certain options. So you allow the user to install applications from the intranet after the installation is done, like directly in Calamares itself. There's a play around with the branding, even though I'm going to stick with default for this video because I don't want to change my Qt5 theme, and I don't want to like fix the color schemes right now. I don't really configure Qt5. So anyway, so once you know how to install Calamares, and now you know how to configure Calamares, what you have to do is, once you have all of these config files, which is listed here, you're going to put them in /etc/Calamares, as I've mentioned previously. So in Archiso, you'll put that under here archlive/archlive/airrootfs, and then you have etc/Calamares modules. And in other distros, I don't know how your ISO builder works, but you do something, you make a package to, let's say, write these files to /etc/Calamares, and then if you can install Calamares from the repositories like I did, you can just run Calamares and boom, it will pick up from the config. Also make sure to run it as root, because otherwise it will not work. Boom, my root config is a little bit messed up, don't mind me. And then just go next. Let's say I actually have some files there, so let's do some manual partitioning. Oh, so this is like the partitioning menu that Calamares gives you. Yeah, mess around with it. It's literally the same thing as the Manjaro installer. So if you have installed Manjaro Linux, you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comments, or you can join my Discord server. I have one for this channel, and I have another for WolfOS. So if you're interested in WolfOS, which is a really nice archery spin that me and some of my friends made, make sure to join that server. We can discuss, I don't know, talk some stuff, I guess. Oh, and make sure to subscribe if you found this video helpful. Otherwise, I don't know, leave a like or dislike. I'll see you in the next one.